All right, everyone. So for my next guest, we want to now talk a little bit more about what the possible charges for this murder suspect could be. Talking about federal, maybe a state, and we'll get right into it right now with Jeremy Rosenthal, a friend here of LiveNOW from Fox, legal analyst. Always great to have you on.
Thanks, Mike. How are you?
Good, good. So, all right, we want to really lean into the fact of, could there possibly be murder charges on the federal side, or do you think they're just going to let the state run its course here?
I would be shocked if the feds didn't get involved here. You've already seen it in a very similar case with the Luigi Mangione prosecution, a very similar case factually, a very similar case theory-wise. Luigi Mangione had he shot United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. It was an assassination that was carried out. It was in cold blood. It took several days. There was a lot of evidence that sort of pointed to him in the same way. And Luigi Mangione, his purpose, his point was to incite further violence, to incite a further action of something bigger than just this. And that's, I think, what the feds really look for here. Obviously, you've got Donald Trump, who has been very heavily involved with the Department of Justice, with Attorney General Bondi, being an ally, being a friend, going to Charlie Kirk's funeral. So I would be very surprised not to see that push on the federal level. And certainly the state of Utah has already indicated that he is going to be prosecuted there. Aggravated homicide in Utah, which is a death penalty offense, is essentially a murder plus some other aggravating factor. It could be the age of the victim. It could be the identity of the victim. It could be, as in this instance, in all likelihood, the fact that through this murder, other people were endangered. When you are shooting live rounds and there's a crowd of 3,000 people, we're frankly lucky that nobody else was hurt or injured. Obviously, it was tragic enough as it was, but the scene in pandemonium could have certainly turned out to have more injuries and potentially even more fatalities.
Yeah, no doubt. So true there. And how would that work? Okay, so say there is federal charges as well. Would it run really parallel as they go through the courses and the really inner workings of the court system?
Just like in the Luigi Mangione case, you would think that they would essentially run, they would try to cooperate to see sort of who gets first bite and who gets first crack. And that's really going to be in many ways more up to the judges who are involved in the case, because the district attorney and the U.S. Department of Justice, they're lawyers. And they don't get to decide necessarily when a case goes to trial. They may get to decide when a case gets charged, but they don't get to decide the scheduling part of it. So you could certainly see each side kind of jockeying for the first bite at the apple, if you will. But in most instances here, you're going to see a lot of cooperation. Wouldn't be surprised to see the feds take the lead and see those kind of cases go quickly. But there was an arrest this morning. The state is usually in a position to kind of act a little more quickly than the feds. The feds are very thorough in their own right, but there's a little more bureaucracy there, a little more chain of command issues that they sort of have to go through to get these things sort of in motion. Whereas the state of Utah, it's a lot easier for them to get a judge on the phone, get a warrant signed, get the person picked up, get them in custody.
Now, because this was a political assassination, do we see terrorism charges on this?
That would be probably the theory, right? Again, just like Luigi Mangione, what your theory here is that you were trying to accomplish something bigger than just an assassination. And that's going to turn on what we learn really in the next few days, not only through law enforcement, but this is where the media really kind of gets in, interviews all the friends, all the neighbors, all the high school family, everybody like that. And we get to see a lot of his social media posts. Obviously, the authorities are going to have the ability to probably access cell phone information, computer information. But the more and more we learn, the more we'll see whether or not there is a provable aspect of this, right? Because I think a lot of us might just sort of infer, well, of course he was trying to have a broader political statement here. You got to prove that in court. So far, we know that he's criticized Charlie Kirk. So far, we know that he made negative comments to his family about Charlie Kirk. If we find evidence, if there's evidence out there that I want to begin the end of this of Charlie Kirk's movement, or I want more people to kind of join in with me. If there's more language like that, I think that that's going to benefit the government to try to prove that.
And lastly, Jeremy, what would a defense even look like here in this case?
It's very hard, and you're almost certainly going to focus on mitigation because you're looking at not one but two capital cases where death penalty could be on the table. Sometimes a good day in court, if you are this person's lawyer, is saving his life. We didn't do it, or he didn't do it, is looking less and less like a really good defense by the hour, right? When we're admitting things to family members, when we're admitting things to friends, when we're saying things that only police know, right? About how the weapon was packaged and where it would be found and all of these things. When you're saying these types of things that are confession-like, it gets really hard to deny that it was you. And then you have to start searching for other defenses, right? Do you have a mental health defense here? We have no way of knowing that at the moment. Is there, and if there is, it better be a good one, because it's really hard to see something that's this elaborate, this planned, this premeditated, be some sort of a mental health case that would be enough to avoid a conviction. Might be more persuasive to avoid the death penalty. But in Luigi Mangione's case, just to kind of go back to him just again for a second, he's a man who friends and family said this guy had a snap. He had a break with reality 6 months ago, 3 months ago. We don't even feel like we know the guy anymore. That may not get Luigi Mangione off completely of the charges. It may end up sparing his life. We don't know if something like that is, if we're going to find that here, but we're going to learn a lot more over the next 24 hours, 48 hours for certain about who this person is.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, Jeremy, hang tight because I think we'll be continuing to talk. Thank you so much for joining us on Live Now from Fox. Always great insight. We really appreciate it.